The ESSE 5, quite possibly the most tested and reviewed knife on YouTube and Instagram. And so I wanted to give you my take on 3 years of hard use. Stick around. So for those of you that are maybe not familiar with ESSE and are new to collecting or knife use in general, ESSE is an American company that focuses on camping, bushcraft, and hunting knives. They have what I consider the best warranty in the industry. No questions asked. You break your knife, they replace it. Any model. All right, so let's talk about this ESSE 5. I bought this knife 3 years ago. It was one of the first sort of fixed blade, higher end knives that I bought in my collection. And everything about it screamed I had to have it. But to be quite honest with you, this knife isn't a knife that I carry that often. I do use it, but I just don't carry it often. This knife stays in my camp box, and I will show you in the video what this knife excels at and some of its limitations. So a few specs on the knife. So 5-inch blade, 1/4-inch thick spine. We have micarta scales, and we have a saber grind on 1095 steel. So I put this lanyard on it to give me a little bit more chopping prowess. It's a decent chopper, but at that thickness, there are better options out there. That high saber grind offers itself to a lot of different tasks. You know, you can even do a little bit of food prep with it. I made the mistake one time of this being my only knife on an overland trip, and although it did slice the steak up with the thickness of that spine, it didn't do a great job. And what this knife really excels at is batoning. I like to baton. I know it's a lot of people out there that give batoning a hard time, and I do carry an axe on most trips, but I feel like batoning with a knife like this for small tender is a better, safer option. That's just my opinion. This knife stayed in my bug out bag for a couple of years before I got the more Garberg. And the reason why I replaced it is weight. This knife weighs a pound, and that's heavy for a knife, if you're carrying it on your hip especially. What I do like about this knife, and the reason why I would never sell it and have never considered selling it or trading it for another knife, is the durability. It's easy to sharpen in the field. You know, that 1095 steel is really tough, but it doesn't hold an edge that long. But it's so simple to sharpen the field. Just a few swipes on the field sharpener, and we're good to go again. So yeah, I mean, you know, what can you say about a knife that is not carried that much but you can't part with? So as I mentioned before, this lives in my camp box now. Or if I'm working in the yard and, you know, I'm splitting some kindling for, you know, a fire pit fire, I'll break it out then. So I always know that if I forget a blade, an outdoor blade on a trip, whether it be, you know, an overland trip or, you know, a week-long camping trip somewhere, this will be there. Now, I will say there are options out there that are cheaper than the ESSE. The Becker BK2 comes to mind. My brother has that knife, and honestly, it's almost the same knife. Okay, so enough talk about the knife itself. Let me show you a few of its strengths and weaknesses when it comes to certain bushcraft tasks and stuff like that. Now, I did film a couple of videos around the house of batoning and feather sticking and that sort of thing, but let's see what we got around here that we can play around with. All right. chopper. Just the thickness of the spine doesn't yield itself to being a great carver. All right, one more thing I wanted to mention about the ESSE5 is the sheath. ESSE does a really good job on their Kydex sheaths, and the one for the 5 is no exception. Has a belt clip. I have turned this a time or two if I wanted to carry it scout, but like I said, I don't actually carry this thing that often on my hip or, you know, on my belt. So, but nice Kydex sheath with different options for, you know, different types of carry. So, my final thoughts on the ESSE 5 is I'll keep it for a lifetime. Like I mentioned before, it doesn't have a lot of use outside of batoning and some chopping, but certainly makes a good knife to have on hand in your camp box, in a bug out bag, or something like that. So anyway, everybody have a great day and enjoy the ESSEs.